Hey guys, this is Eric Young, the world class maniac, and you're listening to Count It Out with Mike and Tyler.
You are listening to Count It Out with Mike and Tyler.
Well, we are live, pals. And this week, there is no Tyler. There's no Paul London, but thank you, sir, for jumping in last week. But there is me. I am Mike, and once again, joined by the one and only Adam Contant. How are you, sir?
I'm a little nervous because you mentioned Tyler, who I don't have a problem being compared to, but then you threw Paul London's name out there. Great. Now I have that to live up to. Dude, I can't do a shooting star press, all right? I don't know what to tell you.
Well, I got to say, you're not the only one feeling the pressure. I'm feeling the pressure right now, too, to outdo that show. Kudos to both Tyler and Paul for putting on a phenomenal show last week. It's one of my favorite current interviews. Anyone who hasn't heard it, go back last week. Tyler sits down with Paul London, and I think I've been replaced as Tyler's best friend. Tyler and Paul are now somewhere holding hands and eating from the same ice cream cone.
What
they really
flavor
really
of ice
seem,
cream do you think they're sharing?
if I know Tyler, we've never talked about what his favorite ice cream is.
Further
This is more
proof, you guys are no longer best friends. Real
Yeah.
best friends would know this stuff.
They would know that. Yeah, this is a conversation from young Jay Lee.
I am gonna guess Tiger Tail.
You want to know something very funny?
Is that what you were thinking?
That's my all-time favorite.
There you go. That's why we're buds.
Yeah, that is my all-time favorite. That is, and I've recently got my son loving it. Yeah, that's been my favorite since I was about 6 years old.
That's why when Tyler runs off to Mars with Paul London, who do you call? This guy right here.
That's it. Well, that's why your and I friendship's going getting close to 30 years strong, all because of Tiger Tail.
Don't remind me. Not because our friendship, but 30 years is a long time to say you're friends with somebody, sir.
It's a long time to say you did anything.
You got me thinking about Paul London doing shooting star presses to remind me that I'm old, and then you also add actual data onto it, numbers. Good God, sir.
Well, we got a reason for the season, my friends. If you hit up our YouTube, you already seen it, but we're going to throw it right here on Spotify as well. We about 2 weeks ago, Tyler and I were fortunate enough to sit down with the one and only EY Showtime, Eric Young. This was a bucket list item for me. This was a big one for me. He was one of the guys that kept me watching the Indies. You know, he is on we talked about this with Chris Van Vliet. He is 100% on my Ontario Indy Mount Rushmore, with like the other three heads could be interchangeable. That one's not. Eric Young will never be replaced off that list. He is the Ontario Indy scene as far as I'm concerned.
I mean, certainly has a huge historical significance, and it is a great interview. I was so jealous when I heard you guys got a chance to chat with him. So you guys really knocked it out of the park, though. It was great.
We really enjoyed talking to him. He turned out to be a very nice guy, which, surprise, surprise.
Good Canadian boy.
Right. So in honor of that interview, Adam and I had to pull in Mr. TNA himself, and we put together, as I'm sure you also put together a list. We both put together two lists. So I'm guessing probably 14 different matches. We are doing the top 7 Eric Young matches of all time. And
I'm going to make a bold prediction to start and address what you just said. I do agree that I think many of the matches on this list are going to be different. I'll put a bet down right now that our number ones match. I am confident that our number one matches are going to be the same.
And I'm confident that they're not. It's not, because what I chose for my number one, I thought would surprise you.
Well, now I'm intrigued, sir.
And only because of a conversation we had a couple weeks ago, and I can't talk about it yet because it'll give it away. But
We'll get there.
we'll get there. We will get there. But before we get there, let's get to the man himself. Ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy this interview with the one and only Eric Young.
TNA Wrestling is on the road to Slammiversary, making stops in Sacramento May 14th and 15th, Denver June 6th and 7th, before the big event Slammiversary in Boston on June the 28th. You can get all your tickets at tnawrestling.com. And joining us today to talk all things TNA is a two-time world champion, a Grand Slam champion. Of course, it is the world-class maniac, Eric Young. Eric, this is such an honor. Thank you so much for being with us.
Yeah, cheers, man. Glad to be here.
So, Eric, you are a TNA original. You have seen the highs and the lows. You've been through it all with TNA wrestling. How does it feel for you to see TNA traveling all over North America again and with this new AMC era?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's exciting, and this will be a really rudimentary way of explaining this, but AMC's it's the big leagues, right? It's and that's not a hyperbole, and that's not saying it because that's where the television show that I'm on is airing. I liken it to this: if you check into a hotel and they've got 12 channels, AMC's typically 90% of the time, AMC is one of them. So it's you're swimming in the deep end. And look at, I mean, anyone in wrestling who doesn't crave that responsibility and that pressure is likely in it for the wrong reason. I love it, man. It makes me feel alive. And you just want to like deliver with every opportunity that you're given. You want to deliver, and everyone, men and women on this roster, that's the mentality. And I think everyone, lots of people have come and gone, but the main focus has always been, we can't control, the roster itself. The wrestlers can't control, the rhetoric. We can't control, what opportunities are given to us. We just got to take the ones that are given to us and do the best possible. And I think that's something that this company has done. The roster has definitely done that over and over for the last 4 to 5 years.
Absolutely. Speaking of the history of TNA, as Tyler alluded to, we are on the road to Slammiversary, and you headlined the big event in 2022 with our fellow Canadian Josh Alexander. It was a phenomenal match. You guys told a great story, which really leaned into the history of TNA. Can you kind of take us through the procedure of working on that match with Josh?
Yeah, I mean, look, Josh is, no secret, one of the best to do it. A very good friend of mine, and we knew we had this kind of like really kind of a special opportunity. TNA was kind of like the little engine that could at that point. It was really gaining momentum. I think, like if you look back to where it is now, that was kind of like the genesis of it, the very kind of it had started months before that, but Slammiversary was this kind of like announcement to the wrestling world that not that we had arrived because we were already there, but that we were coming for more, and whenever you're in a position like that as a performer, you want to deliver. And that's obviously it's a huge responsibility that I know I take deadly serious. And the proof is in his work that Josh takes very serious. And the ode to the tip of the cap, I guess, to Abyss and to Jeff and to people that had come before was important to us. And because like we're not in that position without those people. People like Abyss and AJ and Chris Daniels and Samoa Joe and especially Jeff Jarrett. So being in his backyard, it was important to me. I got to break a guitar on Josh's head, which is always good. But yeah, it was a huge responsibility. But that's a drug, man, that I'm addicted to. I want that responsibility, and I'm really proud of what we did that night.
Eric, it's so awesome to get to talk to you because you have such a deep history with TNA and you're still such a focal point with the company. Case in point, just recently you made a point to give EC3 a very warm welcome back to TNA, let's say. Things are really seeming to escalate with you guys. You just wrapped a chair around him and kind of sent him into the stairs there and kind of reminded him of who you and TNA are. what more can we expect to see out of you and EC3? Because it seems like the violence level is starting to escalate every week.
Yeah, I mean, a lot has changed in this company since he left, and Auntie Dixie's not around to protect him anymore. So, and I've said this in interviews, is I've um, pushed myself and evolved and become better at what I do. And I feel like he's, maybe stuck in the past and he thinks that he's the same tricks that worked for him before are going to work now. Well, I see him coming a mile away. And hopefully he learned his lesson. Hopefully that's, the only bad thing that happens to him and he doesn't show back up. So we'll see what happens.
At the end of 2025, we were lucky enough to sit down on this show with Canadian interviewer Chris Van Vliet. And we had a great conversation about, because he grew up in the same area as us, watching the same Ontario wrestling. And we asked him his Mount Rushmore of wrestlers in this area. And yours was the very first name that came up. Does it, at this point in your career, are you aware that you still have this fandom in this area? You're coming back to Ontario. TNA is to Brampton, Ontario in August. Do you still get excited to come back here? Do you understand the following you still have?
It's not something that I would say I concern myself with.
Right.
Look at, that's where I cut my teeth, and that's where I became, the Eric Young that I am today. That's where I learned, and that's where I started making a name for myself and a brand. And I'm not sitting here without that area's fan support, and talking about me and supporting me at that point. Like I had made kind of this cult following, I guess is maybe a way to describe it. And I made it on the reputation of look, like if you see my name on the card, whether it's the first match or the fourth match or the main event, is you're going to get every single thing that I have. And I did that for a decade, and I don't think I'm sitting here without doing that. I wouldn't change that. It's still how I approach this, because tomorrow isn't given, like every match could be my last. And I think people that don't think that way are setting themselves up for failure. And legacy isn't something that I concern myself with. It's going to be what it's going to be. I feel like I've always kind of done things the right way. I feel like I've never pushed someone down to get to where I am. I've let my work do my talking, and everything I've got is because I worked hard for it and I earned it the real way, the hard way. And I wouldn't change that for anything. But it is cool, like obviously going home and wrestling in front of people and people remembering, the Neo Spirit days or Border City Wrestling with Scott, and it's part of who I am, and that will never change. So that kind of stuff is very, very cool for me.
Now, Eric, at Rebellion, we saw that your old tag team partner, ODB, she returned to action, and she was announced as the next inductee for the TNA Hall of Fame. I'd just love to get your take on what you were feeling seeing your old partner and friend ODB get that moment, and if you could share some of your favorite memories of working with ODB.
Yeah, I mean, one of the best to do it, and she just had this kind of like unexplainable connection with the crowd. And I think that comes from, kind of what you see is what you get. And that's always how she's been and how she's carried herself. She's 100% unapologetically herself. And that's beautiful. That's powerful. And I think if more people were like that, they'd enjoy their life a lot more. Just being around her, the energy that she brought, and I mean, the list is a mile long. We just had so much fun. There's kind of instant chemistry between the two of us. And I think a lot of that has to do with we got to where we were very similar, like we started training at a school and then made our names independently and sacrificed and pushed and, put ourselves out there as much as we could to get that opportunity. So there's this kind of like unspoken respect between the two of us. But also like we look at wrestling very similarly, and character being a huge part of what we both do, and storytelling being the focus of everything. And man, like some of the most fun I've ever had in pro wrestling was with her. So we had a ton of fun together, and I'm happy for her and well deserved for sure.
That's a great way to bring me to my personal last question, because a lot of people talk about, there's a lot of names people talk about when you talk about evolution of characters, changing things up, keeping things fresh. But I think people sleep on how you have done that in 25 years. Do you have a favorite era of EY?
Uh, I've said this before. My favorite era is always the one right now because it means that I'm still doing what I love. Uh, I wouldn't change any of it, like as you guys being from Ontario, knowing and following me, like I had never done comedy wrestling a day in my life.
Right.
Kind of everywhere I was the champion or fighting for the championship or being on the main card or being in the main event. That's who I was. That's how I got noticed by TNA. That's how I got hired by TNA. But I always thought, portraying a character and having a gimmick and having a storyline was always my strong suit. And that opportunity presented itself. And they're like, well, we want you to do this. Do you think you can? And I just said yes, having no idea, if, 14-year-old me, 13-year-old me said, like, you're going to play you know, a mentally estranged, kind of like confused person on television for a decade. Um, if that's what I dreamt of doing when I was 12 and 13, that's definitely not what I was thinking of. I was thinking about being in the main event and being the world champion, which I've also done. But the truth is that part of my career is some of my favorite stuff because it was so singular. Um, when people meet me at meet and greets and stuff like that, it's often the first thing that comes up. That part of holding my heart from the pyro going off or locking up with Earl Hebner or kind of whatever it was, and it was. I got a television show out of it because I wasn't just a pro wrestler. Like I had proven that I had kind of like comedic timing or whatever you wanted to call it, and was comfortable on camera. And in that era, like they didn't write anything for me. They just said Eric Young shows up, and I could just do whatever I wanted and say whatever I wanted. That's a drug, having that kind of responsibility and that kind of say and power. All the stuff. None of it was forced. It was all stuff that I wanted to do, or I came up with myself. So I love that era of it. I've seen the card from every angle. And I think there's very few people that can say they've had that kind of same trajectory. I'm not the best wrestler or the best talker or the funniest wrestler or the most violent wrestler, but I've done it all at a very high level. And it's, I think, the thing I'm most proud of in my career.
Absolutely. I still chant "Don't fire Erica" sometimes when I'm walking around my house. So,
I chant it every
Eric,
day, man. I'm hanging on by a thread.
Eric, you've been great with your time. I have two more quick questions I'd like to ask you
Sure.
here. One thing that I really love about TNA is that they aren't afraid to be different. We see that with like the cinematic type of presentation that TNA does. It could be the Broken Universe from the past. It could be Rosemary's Undead Realm, which has been amazing to see, or it could be you getting stabbed by Cody Deaner. I just love to get your take on this aspect of TNA. It's something completely different from the rest of the wrestling world that they do.
Yeah, I think it's important for us to be that, and have that different feel. A lot of the cinematic stuff that happens in wrestling now, it started at TNA wrestling. And the Hardys compound and the stuff that they did with Abyss and Crazy Steve and Rosemary, like that was the first of its kind, and it made kind of what's possible different. It showed that it doesn't have to just be in a ring and the bell rings and then two guys fight each other and then there's someone pins somebody. It was this kind of whole new way of presenting the same product. And that's something that I think is mandatory for us. We need to be pushing that. We need to be presenting pro wrestling in a different way. Um, because the truth is we can't compete, financially or production wise with the billion-dollar juggernaut companies. We're handcuffed in a way that way, but also having the freedom to push the envelope and do different things is what makes TNA different and what I think makes it exciting because it's we have to be at the forefront of what's coming next or we die. And Eric Tompkins, he hates being mentioned, but a good buddy of mine. But all that stuff has got his fingerprints all over it, and creatively is a lot of what you see on TNA. 99% of it is his vision. And if there's anything that you like, graphics or feel, or the visual stuff, or the cinematic stuff, that's got his hands are all over it. And definitely an unsung hero. And I don't think TNA is in a position that it's in without him.
Awesome, Eric. Well, the last question I'd like to ask here, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. If you were to take a look back at the career of Eric Young, and you have to make a Mount Rushmore of your favorite career highlights, what would be on Eric Young's Mount Rushmore of career highlights?
I said, like, I didn't really have any goals or checklists. My only goal was to sign a contract so I could tell people I did this for a living. And I was wrestling all over the place. I was wrestling all over North America. But I wouldn't tell anyone that this is my job. I had a regular job. And this was something that I did as a hobby on the weekends. In 2004, when Team Canada started, in the dark, me and Bobby Roode, Petey Williams, and Johnny Devine signed our contracts in the dark and didn't even read them. They were for 4 days, four dates. That was it. It wasn't a permanent thing. And we just went to work and created something special with Team Canada. And I've had a full-time job ever since. So I think that moment, signing my contract in the dark, just dating it and putting my name on it and going back to work and not even reading it, that'd be part of my Mount Rushmore. I think the favorite stuff I've ever done was VBD. There's a lot of reasons for that being my favorite, but mostly is getting to work with one of my close personal friends in Cody, the guy that I've known for 20 plus years, that I helped train when he first started. So that was important to me. Obviously, the kind of like paranoid, crazy Eric, that version of Eric Young is there because it changed the trajectory of my career, and it changed my life professionally. It opened all these doors I got this fishing show on Animal Planet and ended up becoming a television host, which was never part of the plan. And that's, this whole other side of my life that was opened through pro wrestling. It was always something I think I was interested in, but I never thought it was going to be a thing that was achievable for me because I was so focused on wrestling. Obviously, my time at NXT was massive for me. I'd be lying if I was saying I didn't dream of working for the WWE my whole life, and I did that, and I did it at a very high level. And that at that point, like, NXT was the product. There was nothing better, and there was nothing hotter anywhere in the world. And I was a huge part of that. And that's something that can't be taken away from me. And then also, like I said, like, I don't look back, I don't look, forward. Is, right now I'm talking to you guys about all this stupid stuff that's meaningless that I've done in my life. But it's cool, man. I've been living my dream for a long time, and that sounds cliche and whatever, but I grew up in this tiny little town in southwestern Ontario. And the fact that I'm sitting here and we're talking about all these cool things that I've done is kind of surreal, man. It sometimes it's not that I take it for granted, but I forget how far I've come. And that's a special thing to be able to do what you love and live your dream. Like, look, I mean, you guys are well aware, more than maybe most, is how hard I worked and the things that I've sacrificed to be to this position. I earned it the hard way, the old fashioned way. But that doesn't mean that I'm not grateful for where I am, and I consider myself very, very, very lucky, very lucky. So.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, we've been lucky to sit down and talk to you today. This has been a huge honor. As a couple of guys that have been with you from day one, this really means the world to us, Eric. Thank you so much. Once again, TNA Wrestling is on the road to Slammiversary, Sacramento, May 14th and 15th, Denver, June 6th and 7th, and the big show in Boston on June the 28th. Eric, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. This was a big honor.
Cheers, guys. It was fun, man.
And as always, thank you so much to TNA and everybody involved for helping hook that up. Eric is just, he you know what? I put him on my indie Mount Rushmore. He honestly might compete for a place on my TNA Mount Rushmore.
He's on mine.
Yeah.
I don't even have to think about it. He's on mine.
Unquestionably. it's a lot harder for me than the indie one, but because there are certain guys that like it's got to be AJ, right? And then you think of other guys. I think Sting has to be on mine,
Yeah, I'd say that's probably a fair bet.
but then it has to be Eric Young, and then that fourth one that's holy shit interchangeable.
I mean, look, I like the guy so much that if you go back into the archives of this show and listen to the episode where I gave my top 7 TNA
That's right.
homegrown talents, Eric
Mhm.
Young was number 2.
That's right.
So,
That's right.
I mean, that's a pretty
And
high praise, I think. So how else could I say anybody but Eric Young would be like a first ballot Mount Rushmore TNA guy for me?
no, I say we do this the same way we did it last time you and I met with a list like this. I say we go back and forth. And
Yeah,
as I
man.
usually, and I am a gentleman, so let's start with your number 7.
Ladies and gentlemen, you had your dessert up front. Now it's time for the meat and potatoes. Let's get into the list. I'm going to kick it off with an all Ontario edition of the list. We're talking Eric Young taking on Robert Roode with Miss Tracy Brooks in his corner at Slammiversary 2007, a match in which Eric Young's contract and freedom was on the line. This is a great showcase of Ontario talent all around. Team Canada explodes and lots of Gaga. This definitely feels like a TNA match because it's like right smack dab in the middle of the card, and yet it's got all the kinds of interference. And I believe at one point, yes, Jim Cornette comes down and stops the match after a dusty finish. Like, this is the kind of stuff that you would say for the main event, and it's all here right in the middle. Ah, that's some good 2007 TNA right there. Right here, baby. Right into the vein.
This match was a very, very, very strong honorable mention. It came very close to being my number 7. It was sitting in my number 7 spot for a little bit. What pushed it off was I think I liked what is my number 7 a little bit more because of you alluded to the dusty finish. Yeah, I love Gaga as much as the next guy, but there's such thing as a little too much, and that finish kind of threw me off. It kind of took away from the match as a whole for me. So that one didn't quite make the list for me.
I think this match is a great encapsulation of Eric Young at that time. If you want to show somebody a match that represents Eric Young's era, this is a good one because it's silly, but it's also full of athleticism and great showcase of entertainment. So I think it's a great match to showcase. I'm glad that I could hopefully bring it to the attention of a few folks. And I will say this. I hope you enjoyed me saying that because there really is not a lot of early Eric Young on my list. And that's not because I don't appreciate those eras of Eric Young. I just feel like he's Eddie Vedder. I like newer Pearl Jam stuff better than the older stuff. Blasphemous as it may be to say. I know. I
thought you were going to say you like all Pearl Jam stuff because that's where I sit. But
I do too.
That's a whole different conversation.
It's the same thing. I like all Eric Young eras. Yeah. All of Eric Young's eras are incredible. Look, I will take Eric Young standing in his underwear marrying ODB just as well as I have him pile driving a guy through a table. Just saying, maybe I like the pile driving the guy through the table a little bit more if I have to rank him in a list. Well, in the same way that, like, look, Jeremy's great, but I just like, just breathe a little bit better. That's all.
All right. I love how you think that an album that came out in 2001 is new Pearl Jam. That shows that we are the same age.
I was just, maybe I was going to say, Yield is okay. All right. But like Backspacer, mwah, chef's kiss.
That Backspacer is one of my favorite albums.
It's great, man. Don't sleep on old Eddie Vedder, man.
And don't sleep on Eric in any era. And we're going to see that too, because we're going to talk about very close to current Eric on my list because we talk a lot.
I'm gonna interrupt you again and stop the flow. Sorry, that's just gonna happen here. What is the most recent match that you watched to put on this list? And I'm not saying I'm not saying your most recent match on the list. I'm saying the most recent match that you watched to put on this list. Because I think I probably got you beat.
I mean, what, 2025? Yeah.
I watched his match with EC3 last week.
Oh, okay.
I went out and I sought the hardcore match with EC3 from last week's episode of Impact Wrestling to watch for this list. So
Makes sense.
that goes to show you how much I love me some modern
No.
day Eric Young.
And so do I, and we're gonna see that throughout this list. But like I was about to say, something we've been talking about, especially every time Sukram comes on the show, we seem to talk about guys who have awesome back halves of their career. Shawn Michaels, The Undertaker, these guys who have tremendous first halves, but holy shit, what do they do in their back halves?
And Eric Young absolutely falls into that category.
We don't talk about Eric Young enough when it comes to that. You know what I mean? Remember,
absolutely.
he was on fire in 2005, but he didn't even get that championship till 2014. He didn't hit a stride, you know what I mean? And then from that point on, you have all these different variations of Eric and these different characters that he played, and everything kind of gave something different. You want to talk about guys like Jericho and The Undertaker reinventing themselves? Throw Eric into that conversation. He
really is the Pokemon of TNA. Like he really has evolved over time.
Another conversation he needs to be in, and this is going to segue to my number 7. I don't think Eric gets. You talked about that thing with ODB. I don't think Eric gets enough credit for his comedy work, and even from this show, we did top 7 best comedy wrestlers like last year, and I don't think I even put Eric as an honorable mention. But going through his career and remembering some of the stuff he's done, the man is funny. Really?
Oh God, he's got an incredible sense of humor and great timing. I will say this. I think I disagree with you about that statement. I think that he does get recognized as one of the all-time great comedy performers because it seems like no matter how much distance he puts between himself in that era, it always seems to come up in interviews and people talking about it. They remember that stuff.
Yeah.
So I still think that he's in that conversation by most people, I think.
Well, talking about Eric being funny, that goes straight to my number 7. We're going to Against All Odds 2008 when Eric took on James Storm for the beer drinking championship belt.
This is really entertaining. This is a fun one and a really great, again, era of Eric Young. Really transitional, but a good way to kind of cap out one era and move into another. So this is a fun match for sure.
It's very hard hitting. I just like everything. I'm a big James Storm fan to begin with. So to have those two in the ring together every time, whether it's singles or tag team action, I'm always enjoying these guys in the ring together. They'll hit each other. They'll go for it. They really, really have hard hitting matches, which I really, really enjoy. The funny thing is, as I was rewatching the match, 2 thoughts came to mind. This is 2008, right? They came into the company around the same time, give or take, within a year of each other. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
This 2008, I would say that this is James Storm in his prime.
Interesting. Okay.
And this is Eric Young, not even fucking close.
I agree with you on Eric Young. I don't know that I would agree with you on James Storm. But being fair, it's not something I'd ever really thought about as to which era of James Storm was his prime. But man, that guy, very much like Eric Young, I think has got a lot of eras you could go back and look at and say, this was good. Ooh, but this was good. Oh, I can't forget about this time. See, and it's tough because I know there's a lot of people out there would say, nah, he wasn't with Beer Money yet, so he hadn't peaked.
Sure enough.
But there'll also be people who'll sit there and say, he'd already peaked. Because America's Most Wanted was broken up by this point in time. And yet still there will be other people that say, dude, he wasn't even at his main event run yet. What are you talking about?
Okay. 100%. You do definitely have a point. I will say I love Beer Money, but I am an AMW guy.
Interesting. I don't know where I fall on the fence on that one. Honestly, I love them both. They're both 2 of the best tag teams of a generation, I would say.
Having Chris Harris on this show was very cool.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. All right. Brings us to your number 6, sir.
Well, we're going to take a left turn into serious territory. You talked about his championship reign in 2014, and that's where I'm going. His first big pay-per-view title defense, sorry, his second, I should say. We're talking Slammiversary
Mhm.
2014. Eric Young versus Austin Aries versus Bobby Lashley. Man, you put those three names together on a piece of paper and you're like, this does not seem like it would be a good matchup just because the styles are so different. But these three guys really worked well together. And I think the reason why it works so well and why this is a great match to go back and watch, especially if you weren't watching TNA around that time, like I wasn't, these guys all play their roles perfectly. Bobby is the big powerhouse that's going to try and just blow through these guys. Aries is the super athlete who's out there trying to hit fast and move. And Eric Young is playing the white meat babyface underdog, just taking all the hits and continuing to come back. There's a lot of great highlights in this match. I think that Eric's elbow off the top of the cage,
Amazing.
probably the highlight. Although I must admit, Bobby
The
Lashley
finish.
crashing through the
Okay.
cage is pretty
So
damn cool too.
that's two things I that I did write down when in those, well, at least watching the match, just to see if I was even going to consider it. Because if you go back to our TNA championship list, you know how I feel about Austin Aries and Bobby Lashley. So I had to watch it just to see if I was going to consider it. I did take notes, and the two things I did write down was, number one, I love the finish. I absolutely love the finish. Moose going through, or not Moose, Lashley going through the cage is phenomenal. Great spot. But I also wrote down, this is everything I want in a cage match. This is a flawless cage match for me. I love this kind of match. It was hard hitting. You got a mix of all three guys' styles, and all three guys played off each other perfectly. This is 100% very much worthy for sure.
Cage matches are hard to do really well, and triple threat matches are hard to do really well. So you know what? Let's put them together and see what happens. And these guys, they took a difficult task and they knocked it out of the park. They understood the assignment, as the kids would say. I don't know. Do the kids still say that? I don't know. It doesn't matter. I'm saying it right now. This match was great. And we've still got 5 more matches to go on my list. So buckle in, kids.
We sure do. Which brings me to my number 6. I said we're gonna get some current EY. This is pretty current. We're going to 2022. Okay. And we're doing Violent by Design versus the Briscoes at Under Siege 2022.
Damn boys. Yeah, man. This is a pretty damn good
I absolutely love this match.
Tag team match. I'll say this. It's an honorable mention for me.
I get that. I get it.
I'll say this. Great brawl. These 4 guys really meshed really well. Great. It's just a great tag team match. If you like tag team wrestling, this is a good match to watch. And I think the thing that makes this match a strong match is the way that VBD put over the Briscoes, because they were heading into Slammiversary with the Good Brothers, and everybody knew that was the big money match. So they really tried to make them look good, and they did a good job with it. And that in itself is a great art form that I think gets overlooked when it comes to the talents of both Eric Young and Cody Deaner. But especially on this night, they were in peak form for that.
It's just funny to me that Eric's having matches in like early 2000s, let's say 2005-ish, where he's starting to steal the show. And then in 2022, he's still able to come out and say, I can still steal the show.
100%.
Now, does it help that he's going up against what I consider to be one of the greatest tag teams of all time? That helps. That helps. And his partner is another man who's probably on my Ontario Indie Mount Rushmore.
Definitely on mine.
That definitely helps. So everything together just erupted into something that is almost tailor-made for me. I like it's my favorite tag team versus 2 of my favorite Ontario Indie guys in a storyline that I was really enjoying at the time. I loved the whole Violent by Design thing. That everything that was happening with Eric in that whole era, you know, from his last championship to the Rich Swann stuff to the Violent by Design, right up until he left for WWE. I loved everything they were doing in there. So this is peak EY for me right now. Not peak, but this is what I was really enjoying at that time. So this was my favorite match. I remember this being my favorite match on this card that night.
All that and a big meaty cherry on top with Joe Doring.
Oh yes. Oh, he's so good. You're number 5, sir.
Well, I don't know if this is going to be controversial or not, but I think it may surprise some people that this match is going to be on my list. I just had a cage match at number 6. I'm having another cage match at number 5, but it's a cage match of a whole different sort. We're going to NXT in 2017. Sanity versus the Undisputed Era versus the Authors of Pain and Roderick Strong in the resurrection of War Games. This match is pure chaos in the best way possible. And normally I feel a little bit like I'm cheating to put multi-man matches on these lists when it's one person. But here's the thing. Eric Young went coast to coast. He was literally the first competitor in the cage. So he went the whole thing. So he definitely pulled his weight on it and was part of some incredible, huge spots. This match has a lot of significance in terms of history because obviously, as I said, it was the resurrection of the match type, which is now, of course, an annual tradition. It all started with this match. A lot of high praise at the time. I didn't know if it was going to hold up given everything else that we've seen, but it is really still a great match to go back and watch. All 9 of the guys involved with this were super hungry and they were out to like make a statement. And I think they did everything from the big table spots, the weapon stuff they did, which was really innovative at the time, and the intensity with which everybody gave their all. This one's worth going back and checking out, especially if you haven't seen it in a long time, like me.
Also me, I haven't seen it in a long time, including for this watch list. I forgot this match even existed, to be perfectly honest. I didn't go back and watch any NXT stuff. And that was maybe a misstep. I think there was enough TNA stuff, but that may have been a misstep on my part. His NXT stuff just didn't hit my radar. I'm not saying it wasn't good.
There just wasn't enough of it.
It doesn't stick in my memory enough, and there wasn't enough of it. Exactly. He was there for what was once he was less than a year.
In NXT, yeah. His WWE run itself, I think, was about 3 years because he came in, I believe, in 2016, might have been 2017, but I think it actually was 2016. And then he got called up to the main roster pretty shortly thereafter. I think maybe about after a year, and then he spent 2 years on the main roster. The SmackDown run was okay. But then when he got traded to Raw, he just got lost in the 24/7 shuffle, and that was kind of it for him, which was a real shame, a real waste of his talent. The two guys that I think really got the rawest deal, pardon the pun, of their NXT call-ups that year were him and EC3.
Yeah.
But no surprise from a TNA mark like myself to feel that way.
Well, my number 5 is quite different. This was a hard one for me because I was balancing 2 matches. I almost came this close to pissing off Rob and doing a tie because I have 2 matches against the same person in the same month. Yeah.
I think I know where you're going with this.
And I decided to go with the rematch because I think it's just a little bit better. So we're going to Victory Road 2020 against Eddie Edwards.
Man, this match is awesome. You did pick the right one between the two of them. The match where Eric wins the championship. It's so funny because I went back and watched it and I said, it was so good. I just wish it was 5 minutes longer.
Yeah.
And then here comes Victory Road. And I'm like, oh, this is the match on steroids. This is great.
Yeah. That's the match that we wanted. And which worked because that's the match that was on pay-per-view. So that makes sense, right? It doesn't matter to me that Eric didn't win the title that day. He had a great defense, and it was a phenomenal match. His feud with Eddie is one of my favorites. I love him and Eddie working together. I wish we got a little bit more of it. I understand he needed to get to Rich. I understand what they were doing at this point. People thought he was going to get to Rich before this point. They thought Rich was already on his way up coming in. They timed it perfectly though. If Rich Swann would have came in any earlier than he did to get that title, I don't think it would have worked. You know, having Eddie come back and get his revenge, we needed that. That story needed to be told, and god damn was it told. What a phenomenal match. Again, another hard hitting match. Eddie, I could do an Eddie list too at any point in time because Eddie is one of my favorites.
I'm just a phone call away, man.
he
Do kids
that
do
will
people
happen
still
one day.
phone do people still phone each other now? I don't
Well,
know.
I do, but nobody answers.
Fair.
Yeah,
Man, you want to talk about hitting hard. These two guys beat the tar out of each other,
yes,
man. And it is awesome from start to finish. I think both guys had something to prove in this match. Eric had just come back from his WWE run, where, as I just mentioned, didn't end the best for him, got lost in the shuffle. And I think when he came back to TNA, he felt like he had to have an extra hard bite to him in
yeah,
order to make people remember what he was all about. And for Eddie, this was his run as the champion after the belt had kind of been, let's be honest, kind of been shit on
yeah,
by their last champion.
yeah.
Basically, Tessa Blanchard basically Alundra blazed the belt. She didn't throw it in a garbage can, but she might as well have.
Yeah, Eddie had some
And
work to do for sure.
he did, and he
Yeah,
had to really represent. So I think both of these guys came into this match with this idea of we both have to bring our A game and get people talking about this, especially our biggest show of the year is next month. We've got to make sure people are excited about this. I think both guys did
100%.
a tremendous job in this match. It's a great match. I'm so glad it's on your
And
list.
I mean, I don't know if I'm wrong about this. This is all speculation, but I also feel that TNA was or Impact was really planning on making Rich Swann their next guy. He was going to be the face of the company. So I think the pressure was on Eddie and Eric at this point to, hey, we're leading to Rich. Make this mean something. When you get to
Absolutely.
Rich, it's got to mean something. So make you tell that story. And I think that was tasked to both Eddie and Eric, and they did a hell of a job doing it.
Agreed. Agreed.
Number 4, my friend.
Well, I think I'm willing to put money down that this is the most recent match that's going to end up on either list.
Okay.
I'm going back just a couple months to Sacrifice 2026, Eric Young versus Leon Slater for the X Division Championship. Man, what a great showcase for Leon in this matchup, while at the same time proving that Eric can still go. This one was good in the way that it built tension throughout the match. It really did start slow and then build to a crescendo. Both guys got huge over, an incredible opener. Like, this is one of those matches where you had a generational clash between wrestling's very bright future and a guy that, carried the torch for many, many years. This clearly was not a passing of the torch moment. It was just a fun little, hey, here's the old guard versus the new guard kind of thing. This was, if you remember, Eric Young's cash in for his Feast and Fired briefcase. And it's a great match, man. Eric proves that he still got it, and Leon just continues to show why he's the guy to watch for the future of not just TNA but pro wrestling. If you guys have been sleeping on TNA or you've been missing out on the new era, I mean, I would say first and foremost, Leon Slater is reason enough alone to be watching.
Agreed. Yeah.
But go back and get yourself a TNA Plus subscription and watch this match. It's so good. It captured my attention from start to finish and just would not let go of it. Just an all-time great match for me. And I think this one, if it doesn't get the love that it should be getting by the end of the year, I think it's going to be one of those undiscovered gems that people end up finding later on in life, because this was a really good one.
I mean, Leon Slater doesn't know how to put on bad matches right now. He is just on fire, and he has been for the last 2 years. Admittedly, I am very behind on my TNA. I will say that out loud. I have not seen this match. The reason I haven't seen this match is I love my TNA so much that when I get caught up, I want to do it properly. I want to go back to where I left off and catch up. I don't want to just jump in and be like, okay, what's going on now? I don't want to do that. So I'm almost abstaining at this point until I can get caught up. But it's good to know. I didn't even know they had a match. I'm excited that they had a match.
When you get back and you get all caught up, you're in for a treat. That's for sure.
I'm sure. Again, another different match. My number 4 is quite different than yours, but same in, as I see it, an old guard versus new guard, because there's 2 different eras colliding here. We're going to 2022. No Surrender, as the leader of Violent by Design, takes on the leader of the Bullet Club, Jay White.
This is an interesting contest, and I think that this was a really, to me, the vibe that I got watching this match is that both guys were really having fun with it. And I think that really, I think that reverberates throughout the crowd watching it, and definitely for the viewers at home.
Yeah, 100%. The match, if I had to put a word on it, the match was fun. And even with Eric, like Eric didn't break. Like Eric was still Mr. Violent by Design. He was still that psychotic, violent guy going up against Jay White. But you could almost feel the love he was having for being in that ring, which you get from Eric Young almost always, but it felt a little different in this match for sure. This match, all I wrote down when I was doing my notes was it personifies old school versus new school. You want to see, the old guard versus the new guard. You want to see how 2 styles, the old style and the new style, mesh together perfectly. You watch this match. It was flawless how they brought everything together.
Well, from a technical standpoint, from a mechanic standpoint, the thing I really liked about it was the false finishes. There was a lot of really great false finishes in this, and a couple of them that really got me going back and watching it again. So, man, these guys are 2 masters of manipulating the crowd, and they were on their A games for this match for sure. It's an honorable mention for me, but I got no beef with you being on your list.
I say to Tyler on a regular basis that wrestling is subjective. You and I had very different lists when we talked about Fatal 4-Ways a couple of weeks ago. Yes. I had no doubt going into this that we were going to have 2 very different looking lists, and obviously we do. And that's what I'm always saying, wrestling, because why I love wrestling is very different from why Tyler loves wrestling, and we see that every week on this show. And it's different from why you love wrestling. The things I look for are different than things that you look for, and that's what I love about professional wrestling, because there is something for everybody. This is why I hate people that subscribed way too much into Meltzer's 5-star bullshit. You know what I mean? Because that man, if it's not for just because it's not for Uncle Dave doesn't mean it's not for this guy. You know
what I love? The fact that you just went on like a 6-minute rant about how it's so wonderful that we have these 2 great lists where nothing is the same. And my number 3 match is Eric Young versus Eddie Edwards from Victory Road.
Nice. Very good. Very, very good.
So there you go. We got one.
We got one.
We got a match on the list. Yes.
Where's it?
Mine's a little bit. Clearly, I liked it a little bit more than you. A little bit more. But this match is my number 3.
Where's Annie Potts when you need her?
No kidding. In my heart, sir.
That's your number 3?
Yes, absolutely.
My number 3 might be a bit of a homer, okay? It might be just because I think I put it so high on my list because Tyler would call me out on this because I think it might be the moment more than the match. But the match is still really good. We're going to the April 10th edition, 2014 of Impact. Eric Young wins his very first TNA championship against Magnus.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I remember this happening.
Yeah.
I remember hearing about it. I remember going back to watch it. And I remember writing an article about it for Last Word on Sports when I was working for their wrestling department at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, the article I wrote was not necessarily complimentary. Now, that being said, I wasn't saying anything bad about the match or the competitors. The issue I had with it was that it was, as I called it, same verse, second verse, same as the first, in that it was pretty much a beat for beat recreation of Daniel Bryan and the Miracle on Bourbon Street.
Okay.
We had a guy come out in a gauntlet match. He gets hurt, but he says, no, 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 I want my belt tonight. And he's like this scrappy. Even their beards look the same, for God's sake.
Yeah. Okay.
So it was very,
I see that. I get that.
To me, it was very clearly TNA going, hey, we've got something similar. I hate saying this, but we have Daniel Bryan at home. And it was now putting that aside, looking at this in a vacuum,
just in its own box. It's a great match.
It's a great match and a great moment. And everybody who was in attendance for that match, and certainly I would imagine those involved in the match, didn't care that it was oddly familiar of the other show. It was a genuinely feel-good moment to see Eric Young, who had toiled away in the mid-card and had, as we talked about, so many iterations and evolutions over time, win the big one and become champion. It felt like a real well-deserved thank you. Yeah.
Had been with the company for 10 years at this point, and agreed. It did. It felt like a thank you. And the person who made it feel like that, the MVP for this, the whole thing for me was Mike Tenay. Mike Tenay made this feel like it was important. That Eric finally getting this was a big deal, and we need to talk about this. Mike Tenay sold this for me, and I am not a fan of Taz on commentary. I'm very vocal about that, but even Taz impressed me with the way he was really selling how big of a moment and how they were making history for Eric Young that night.
You're not a big fan of Taz, but you digress.
I digress. All right, we're into the top two. Interesting.
Yeah, man.
All right, what do you got?
I've got a match that I was worried about going back to watch because this match actually holds a very special place in my heart from a personal standpoint.
Okay.
And I was worried that it was going to cloud my judgment. Nope. Still fucking awesome. We're going to Slammiversary 2020, Eric Young versus Ace Austin versus Eddie Edwards versus Rich Swann versus Trey Miguel for the vacant Impact Wrestling World Championship. Mm-hmm. This match has such a fun place for me. I remember where I was when I was watching it, which was in my sister-in-law's basement, alone by myself on a laptop. We were visiting family, and I said to them, listen, I know we're here on a visit, but Saturday night, I need some me time. I have to watch this Impact pay-per-view. It is important. There's something special is going to happen tonight. I have to watch this. And it was special. Yeah. It was important. Not only was it the return of Eric Young, as it had been teased, but also the return of Rich Swann. Now that in itself doesn't a match not make. But what's great about this match is that everybody made an impact, pardon the pun. Everyone had a great moment to shine. Stories were told, action throughout, great spots. Yes, Eric Young was eliminated second in the match, so this is a bit of a cop-out. However, I would also argue that he probably made the biggest impact of everybody in the match. He came out, he eliminated Trey, he crippled Rich Swann, causing him to get eliminated. Mm-hmm. So even though at the end of the night, Eddie Edwards was the guy holding the belt, toasting with the Good Brothers, I think fans, myself included, I can vouch for this. We're talking about, holy crap, Eric Young is back, baby. Because you have to remember, this was when he just came back from WWE. He'd been released. Yeah. And it's like, oh, he got his teeth back, baby. The real Eric Young is back. Mm-hmm. Yeah, man.
And this leads into everything I was talking about before, because this leads into the stuff with Eddie, into the stuff with Rich, into the stuff with Violent Design. This is all a chain, right? So yeah, 100%. This is where it all starts. I'm going to give you the one very, very simple reason why this did not make my list. I watched this live, like on pay-per-view, just like you did, and I haven't watched it since. I wasn't able to rewatch it for this list due to not being able to find it online. And that's it. I couldn't justify putting it on if my memory was too hazy about it. That's it. That's the only reason.
You want to make some history right now?
Okay.
Okay, here's what we're gonna do. Live in living color, baby. I'm inviting you onto an episode of Talk Solid Wrestling.
All right.
We're gonna watch this match. Normally the concept is I get my guests to bring a match forward that they like and we talk about it.
Uh-huh.
We're gonna make history here, and not only am I calling this out live on your show, but I'm gonna do the inverse. We're gonna watch a match that I really love.
I love that.
We're gonna watch that, and I'm gonna have you on as a guest, and we're gonna go back and we're gonna discuss it and dissect it piece by piece on Talk Solid Wrestling. What do you say,
Yeah.
sir?
Now, are you only doing this because you know if you gave it to me, I would choose a Techno Team 2000 match?
Oh, absolutely, 100%. Shall we shake?
I
There
I
you go.
love
It's
this. I
official,
love this.
ladies and gentlemen.
100%.
The rematch has been
I mean-
signed. Walsh Contant 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Love it. Absolutely. I can't wait for that. And what a great match to watch. I can't wait to do this with you. So this was not my number two. What was my number two? I know I spent a lot of time between 2020 and 2022, but this is proof I'd still have some love for early EY because we're going all the way back to 2005. And this is Final Resolution of 2005, and it's Team Canada versus America's Most Wanted. I wasn't kidding when I said I was an AMW guy. I love America's Most Wanted, and I love Rude and Young together. I love Scotty as a manager. I love everything about this match. This match is a melee. This match is all smudge. This match is just a train wreck in the best possible way. You got Johnny Devine coming in and running interference. You got Scotty being handcuffed to a post. It's tremendous. I love there's nothing not to love about this match.
Yeah, this is a really good match. It is an honorable mention for me. So there you go. My number two didn't make your list. Your number two didn't quite make my list. But again, as I said before, I ain't mad that it's here on your list. And I ain't mad that it's here at number two, especially if you like tag team wrestling, and especially if you like your TNA Gaga. Like I said, again, all the stuff that you talked about there, this should be like, they say like, the Gaga is like the spice. Like this is just a steak with nothing but seasoning on top of it. Like it's just, it's like a pound of butter and mushrooms and then like a little tiny flank steak. And that's not to, sorry,
and the
go
fact
ahead.
That, and the fact that EY picked up the win doesn't hurt it hurt it being in the number two spot.
No, man. I think that TNA, one of the great things that made TNA worth checking out in those early days was their tag team division. And
for sure,
this is a great example of why they were doing it better than anybody else. Two incredible teams. Like you said, enough Gaga to keep you interested if you like watching a little bit of wrestling on the ADHD settings. But it's still at the end of the day a really great tag team wrestling match as well. So absolutely, I have no qualms with you having it here and having it at number two. Good choice, sir.
So before you get to your number one, I do have a question.
Our number one. I still think we have the same match.
You think so, eh?
I still do, yeah.
What if I told you I know for a fact we don't?
Okay, I'll take that bet. I mean, I've been putting it out here all night.
Which means if you still think that we're matching, I haven't mentioned your number one, which means your number one is not on my list.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
Very interesting.
And truly shocking to me if this is not it.
All right, let's go.
My number one is a match that does mean a lot to me, but I think also means a lot to TNA. And I know for a fact means a lot to Eric Young. We're going once again to my favorite TNA event, Slammiversary, the 2022 edition, the 20-year anniversary edition, Eric Young versus Josh Alexander for the Impact World Championship. Man, oh man,
How
this
did
is
I forget
incredible.
about this match? I forgot.
I
About this
don't
match.
know.
How
I
did I forget about this match?
don't know.
This changes everything. I forgot this match even existed. This wasn't even on my watch list. When I was
Man,
making my list, and how I make my watch list, I always, I'll go by memory first. Okay, these are the ones I remember I have to watch. Then I'll type in best Eric Young matches, and whatever comes up, I write them down. I'll go look at other people's lists. I write them down. That match didn't appear anywhere, so it didn't even come into my memory. Had I
yeah.
rewatched this match and remember this match, you probably would not be wrong in this being my number one.
Would have made
This
some
is
money
my
tonight. Thanks a
this
lot,
is
Walsh. You screwed me over.
this is now my honorary number one. But
Oh boy,
chalk,
Rob's pissed. He's in
chalk,
the comments. He's in the comments right now.
chalk that up to me just fucking up. This is my honorary, because I tell you right now, I haven't watched it since I watched it on pay-per-view, but I guarantee just from my memory, even if I did rewatch it, it would be my number one. So I'm not gonna change my list.
Well, no, because I obviously I have to hear what your number one is as well. But
I'm gonna suck it up. But
I do want to just kind of praise this match a little bit before we move on from it, because if you are listening to this or watching this and you have not seen this match, for God's sake, please stop the episode right now and go out of your way, get yourself a TNA Plus subscription and watch this match. Everybody went crazy about John Cena and AJ Styles paying tribute to all of the people that were important to them last year. These guys did it first, man. And they did it on the 20th anniversary of TNA, which made it even more special. And
you want to know something really, really funny?
Yeah, I do.
Here I am, not even remembering to watch this match, but I asked Eric about this match in my interview with him.
I know. You interviewed Eric Young before this match.
About this match. I asked him specifically, because we are on the road to Slammiversary. I specifically asked him about headlining Slammiversary with Josh Alexander, and I still didn't remember to watch this match for this list. I might have to give in my counted out card. Man, Jesus.
I'll tell you something. Now we're even. You made me feel old at the start of this episode by bringing up all the friendship and the years past. And you know what? Now you've done it to yourself by having a senile moment here.
100%.
So, I think maybe it's only appropriate. So I'm not going to be, I'm not going to be too hard on you about it. You've truly embarrassed yourself enough. I don't need to help you out with that in this case. After watching this match, I think this might be a TNA Mount Rushmore match for me.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah. I love this match that much. Both guys are just given everything they have here. The tributes are absolutely nice, of course, but these two guys are out to prove something and really out to live up to the expectations I think that the fans had, but also that they set for themselves because of the situation that they were in, being the 20th anniversary of TNA. I think that this match meant something to them too. And I think you could tell it in every single minute of this matchup. It's so good. It builds beautiful, huge spots. They're hitting each other real hard. Layer upon layer here of just great wrestling action. Yeah, might be one of my favorite TNA matches ever. This one and the 5-way. Yeah. You know how you said that you start your matches by thinking about your list by thinking about, okay, well, what matches immediately come to mind? Yeah. My number 1 and 2 were the first two matches. That's not why they're my number 1 and 2. I did go back and watch close to like 30 matches for this just because Eric Young is so goddamn good. But at the end of the day, I was like, yep, nothing beats those. They're still the best. And again, this is why you see a lot of later age Eric Young stuff for me, because I feel like when he came back to TNA in 2020,
I think
that this is when he was starting to peak.
Yeah, 100%. There's no reason, he has no business being as good as he is right now. Seriously. Like,
Truly.
Jesus Christ, Eric, leave some talent for everybody else. It's insane.
All
Man,
right,
that's
so now the big
uh,
question, of course, we got to find out what was the number one prior to
I
learning your mistake.
I just wish I just lied, to be honest. I wish I just lied. I would have said, yeah, this is also my number one.
Oh my God,
Uh-huh.
you're right, Adam. Wow.
Yeah. And then I would have just thrown this one in the garbage and been okay. I still stand by this as a solid number two. I do.
Fair.
I do. I would move everything up one. But here's where we are. We don't have to go into depth about it because we already talked about it.
Oh, we got two. Okay.
We got to, and that's how I knew that we weren't going to match because
Okay.
you had mentioned this, unfortunately, a long time ago.
Okay.
And I told you at the beginning, I think off air, I told you, I think I'm going to surprise you with this. The reason being is because I really don't like two of the competitors.
You went with the cage match.
I went with the cage match. I
Hey,
absolutely
man, I
love
ain't
this
mad
match,
at
Adam.
it. I ain't
I
mad at it.
absolutely. When you said, I expected you to put this in your top three, to be perfectly honest, because I know how you feel about Bobby Lashley. I know how
I'm a
you feel
fan of
about
all
this,
these guys.
about this style of match. So I expected this to be in your number three. When this popped out as your number six, knowing that it was my number one, I'm like, shit, what do we have in store tonight? I don't know what he has in front of him here because I honestly thought this was going to be higher on your list. I stand by it as a solid number two. I would have put it behind the Josh match had I not had a moment, but I stand by it as being one of my favorite Eric Young matches for sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, you heard me gush about it earlier, so you know how much I love this one. That's the beautiful thing about Eric Young, and the thing that I think just confirmed what I already felt about him, which is that he's so damn good that when you have a list like this, it's really measured in increments, not miles. It's
Right.
inches, not miles, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like all of these matches kick ass. Every single one, even the matches like that made your list that were just honorable mentions to me, they're not bad matches. They're not, none of these matches are bad matches. There's really only one match that I watched that I would consider a quote unquote bad match. And it has nothing to do with Eric Young and everything to do with the fact that he was working with like some of the best talent in the UK and they gave them like 6 minutes. There's just not enough time to explore it. If I may just kind of side rant on that, it was during this time is when he was King of the Mountain, the King of the Mountain champion. So he was defending them in King of the Mountain matches, and they did a tour of the UK, and the match was Eric Young, Bram, Jimmy Havoc, Big Damo, and Will Ospreay in a match, and they gave him like 6 minutes for a ladder match with these guys, and I'm like, guys, if you had given them even just double that, this could have been like an all-time classic. I'm sure a lot of it is also hindsight as well, because we're talking like I think 2015, 2016 here. So although a lot of those guys that I mentioned were big names in the UK scene, like they weren't the guys that would become worldwide stars, or yet anyway. They were those guys, but they just were not at that level yet.
Was this, I just want to make sure this is the right match I'm thinking of. Did Eric win this match?
Yes, he did. He retained.
Okay. So TNA has this match on their top 5 Eric Young matches.
Yeah, I know, which is weird. I don't know if it was just a matter of like, hey, let's just put it in here because like people will go wait, like, Big Damo, what the fuck are you doing here?
Right? Yeah. I'm sure you might have a couple as well, or 30. But I just wrote down a couple honorable mentions that we got through.
Yeah, I tried not to go too crazy.
Yeah, I didn't go too crazy. I've got a match from Impact in 2014, around the time he won his championship. This is a 4-way match I really enjoyed. It's Eric Young versus Austin Aries versus Bobby Roode versus Jeff Hardy on just on an episode of Impact. Really good match.
I'm going to go back and check that out because that's intriguing to me.
This one, could have made my list had I been able to watch the whole match, but my feet, I could only, I found it on Daily Motion in sections and
Sure.
couldn't find the last half. So, but I did watch the beginning. This is from Sacrifice in 2009. And we got Abdul Bashir, Alex Shelley, Chris Sabin versus Consequences Creed, Eric Young, and Jay Lethal.
Wow.
In
What
a
a list of
six-man tag.
talent.
Yeah, really enjoyable.
No kidding, eh? What a showcase match.
Let's see. I do have one more. I just can't find it. Oh, I did write down his match with Rich Swann.
Yeah, actually, I was just about to bring that one up and ask if you would put that on there because it's on my honorable mentions as well. Yeah. Classic underdog story here and a good main event match too for these guys.
Yeah. And my last one you actually had on your list, which was from Slammiversary 2020, which was the four-way.
Yeah, man. A great one. I can't wait to go back and watch that one with you. I have a couple of other honorable mentions, if I may. Not too many, but a couple more that I'd like to put over. I'd like to talk about his match with Cody Deaner at Emergence in 2023.
Oh, yeah, that's a great match. Yeah.
They had the hardcore match at the Rebel Complex. It was wonderful seeing that set again. Just a super fun brawl with tons of gaga. Khan got involved. Some really good stuff. A huge elbow drop off the ladder. Just a fun little brawl from two Ontario indie guys. And it made me smile to watch that. And then another hardcore match, a Full Metal Mayhem match against Kaz from Rebellion in 2024. You may remember this one as the one where Eric fucks his ear up on the table on the big finish, and bleeds like a stuck pig out of the side of his head. Just a really creative little hardcore match from these two guys. Again, a pair of TNA vets being like, let's have some fucking fun out there. And then Eric goes, you fucking bitch, you hurt me. And I have one more honorable mention, if I may. Very close personal to my heart. Eric Young, Cody Deaner, and Crazy Steve taking on the Deadly Venoms, Tornado, Anthony Darko, and Jake O'Reilly at Rock Solid Wrestling's Wrestling Night in Collingwood 11. I would just love to share my personal thoughts of that. First and foremost, super fun match. You have essentially 6 of the best to ever do it in Ontario. Hooking up and having a lot of fun with each other and showing everybody at the biggest show of the year for us that year, how it's done. So much fun. And man, what an honor it was to ring announce Eric Young to the ring. I also remember having a real fun conversation with him backstage where I said, where do you want to be announced from tonight? Because I know you're going by Nashville, but obviously you're a hometown boy. Do you want to come out being from Niagara Falls? And he said, yeah, it doesn't really matter. Nobody knows who I am. And I said, you're Eric Young. And he's like, oh, it doesn't matter. They don't care. And I was just like, oh my God, dude, so humble. Why are you the way that you are?
Yeah. And you had told me that story off air right before I did the interview. And while talking to him, that story resonated to me because that's what I got from him too. And talking to him off air before we hit the record button. He's not his character at all. He is just a humble, good human being.
Yeah, man. I was so happy to be a part of Wrestling Night in Collingwood 11 that night. And speaking of Wrestling Night in Collingwood, we are back. For those of you that weren't aware, tickets went on sale last week for the biggest show of the year for Rock Solid Wrestling, Wrestling Night in Collingwood 13, featuring the Lucky 13 Battle Royale. 13 competitors are going to get a shot to face Daddy Davis if he is still champion by the time we get to Collingwood for the Canadian Heavyweight Championship. It is going to be huge. Saturday, June the 6th. Somebody might be celebrating a birthday that day, having the time of his life while everyone else enjoys the biggest show of the year. Please get your tickets right now. That is at rocksolidwrestling.ticket.ca, rocksolidwrestling.tickit.ca. There you go. You thought I was going to plug all my stuff at the top of the episode. Nah, baby. Gotta swerve you every once in a while.
I got plugs too, but we had to talk about UI in the beginning, man. That was all about Eric Young. That was all about Eric Young. We had to do that interview. Before I talk about something a little bit more on my end, I have one more honorable mention. This show will be canceled by Tyler himself if I don't mention this match. I got to talk about his number one. This is his personal favorite Eric
It's
Young match.
it's when he won the reverse battle royal the first time, isn't it?
You don't like Tyler very much, do you?
No, I'm saying that because I know for a fact he and I both are soft on the reverse battle royal. We both think it's the fight for might and the reverse battle royal aren't as bad as everybody says they are. Come at us, bro.
I like the reverse battle royal.
Yeah, me too.
No, we're going to go. Correct me if I'm wrong, Tyler and Rob, obviously, he will. I'm going to go back to 2001, I believe was the year. And this is in Neo with Eric Young versus Danger Boy Derek Wilde.
Yeah.
This lives in legend on the Ontario indie scene. People still talk about this almost 30 years later. It's what the Ontario indie scene was built on, was this kind of stuff. We talked about this match with Chris Van Vliet. He even brought this up in talking about his favorite indie stuff. So the one and only, he told me flat out, this better be on your list. And I said, listen, if you can find it, if you can let me not rewatch it, if you can let me watch it, because I wasn't there that night. So let me see the match and it'll probably be on my list, but I couldn't find it. So here we are.
And if I may just also throw in a very quick plug for our friends at Neo, who are still going strong right now.
Yes,
Their
they
upcoming
are.
show, Saturday, May 23rd, Super Spring Showdown. That's taking place at the Columbus Club of Niagara Falls. Get your tickets right now. Go neopro.ca. Check them out there. Great, a great show. My God, Neo's got a show coming up. I've got a show coming up. Mike, is there anybody
Gotta
else
be more shows.
possibly
Yes,
on this podcast right now
100%.
who might have a
Yes.
show coming up this summer?
Barry Wrestling is putting on Golden Glory 9 on June 13th. 100%. It's gonna be a great show. We're just off the heels of their last show. It was fantastic. Had a great time. Their next show is June 13th. It's gonna be a long weekend though, because that very next day, June the 14th, you can get your tickets right now. They went on sale last week. Get your tickets to go to
Rumble in the Jungle Gym.
It's the town I blanked on. Tyler, you're gonna have to edit this.
No, keep it in. I want more. Listen, when we have to take you for dementia testing, we're going to have to show them the proof.
We're going to Belgrave, Ontario, ladies and gentlemen, for Rumble in the Jungle Gym. That is Counted Out with Mike and Tyler presents Rumble in the Jungle Gym. This is our second show that Tyler and I are putting on for the great people of Belgrave, Ontario. We are helping them raise money for their park, for their playground. We're part of this big summer festival that they're doing. We have a stacked card. If you go to any of our social medias right now, we've already announced a couple of the matches. We have announced that Wanda Del Rey will be taking on Johnny DeLuca in a first round tournament match for the Counted Out Cup. We have announced that Pretty Ricky Wilde will be taking on the current mystery wrestling champion, London Lightning, in another first round match.
That's going to be a good one.
And we don't know the match yet, but your boys, the Wrecking Crew, have put out an open challenge. So anybody could show up to Belgrave to take on the Wrecking Crew. And you always know when you get in the ring with the Wrecking Crew, you don't know what you're going to get.
I mean, look, I don't think I'm out of school by saying that they were the highlight of last year's event. At least for me personally, there was a lot to love about your show last year, but for me personally, the Wrecking Crew, I 100%. Think just were the highlight. And I have a strong feeling they're going to try to top themselves again this year. So what I'm saying is lock up your daughters, guard your beer, because the Wrecking Crew are coming to town and good times are going to be had by all.
And in a match that I consider to be the semi-main event, we will see an 8-man tag. And I'm not telling you who the one team is, but I will tell you this, because once I tell you this team, this is such an up-and-coming, such a go watch them now kind of team that you're going to want to grab your tickets. Mano Po is going to be in Belgrave with us at Count It Out, with us at Rumble in the Jungle Gym, Rumble for the Jungle Gym, easy for me to say. These guys are everywhere you go, Adam. I don't know if you've had the privilege to see any four of these members of the stable live, but all four of them, no matter where you go, they tear the house down. Just a couple days ago at Barrie Wrestling, two of their members, Kuya Cole and Tio, won the Barrie Wrestling Tag Team Champions in the main event of the show. What a moment. I haven't heard the Barrie crowd that fucking loud in years. People love these kids. These are three Filipino guys and one Filipino woman. They're just taking over our scene by storm. Everywhere they go, they're all over Mystery Wrestling. They're all over the Ontario scene. Watch them now while you still can. I don't want to cherry pick, but especially Kingsley. Watch her now before you can't watch her on our scene anymore. That's all I'm going to say.
So there you have it. Now you've all gone and bought 4 tickets to each of those shows.
Yeah, exactly.
You've got plenty of wrestling to kick your summer
June's
off.
a busy month, man. Lots of
Yes,
wrestling.
it is.
Yeah, so all you people
It's going to be a good summer.
All you people saying that wrestling sucks right now, that there's no good wrestling, you can't watch good wrestling.
It's in your backyard, baby.
Turn off your fucking TV then.
Not our backyards. That was never good wrestling.
No. Turn off your TV. Go to Collingwood. Go to Barrie. Go to Belgrave, Ontario. Go to wherever he said that Neil was at. That place.
Niagara Falls.
Niagara Falls, that's it. Go to all these places, the indie scene. That's where you're watching the best wrestling in the world right now. I promise you that. And hey, Tyler and
that's where Eric Young came from. Here we are.
I've got
talking about him on the list.
That's it. I've got people coming up to me at the Barrie show saying, what you guys have put together is a fans card. This is made by the fans for the fans. And that's 100% what it is, because that's what we are. We're not wrestling promoters. We're playing the part of a wrestling promoter, but we're fans. So we put together a fans card. This is what fans want to see. And I promise you, if you are an indie wrestling fan, you want to see this card. Belgrave, Ontario, June 14th. Check it out. You can get your tickets. We're going to be right in the description. No matter where you're listening, the ticket link will be right here. Click on it or go anywhere on our social medias and you'll find the tickets.
Anything else? Damn miss it.
Oh, Billy Red Lions and Diamond Jim Lowe all represented right here on Count It Out. Don't forget to listen to Talk Solid Wrestling every Tuesday.
Every Tuesday.
Unless
you're part of the Rock Solid fan club, and then you get it early.
There you go. What one just came out today. The Notorious TID is the newest episode. Go check that out.
Please do. I'm particularly proud of this episode with Tid. It's I mean, look, he makes it easy. As we discuss in the first minutes of the podcast, he is the OG godfather of pro wrestling podcasts, so he made it easy for me.
100%. And go back in the archives if you haven't seen any of the other amazing episodes that Adam has done. Most recently, good mutual friend of ours, Drew Ferris, very entertaining. Nice to see him on the podcast again. I miss hearing his voice weekly, though I do think you missed the boat not doing a movie review, but that's just me.
He chose the topic, not me, sir.
But everything else, I love your choice of guests because every week you choose somebody that's nothing like the person before or the person after. Everyone's got different stories. Everyone's got a different role in this weird world of wrestling. So I was
about to say, it's a nice way of saying there's a lot of weird people in wrestling.
100% weird in the best possible way. With that said, when you're done getting your tickets, go ahead and get yourself counted out.
Cheers.